Hello and welcome to UPL Season 14 Origin Coach PR hosted by Kraft and T4U.
Hello.
This is not scuffed.
We've done too many of these. They've all blurred together.
Yeah. Also, it's been a bit, and like any good league coach, we did all our prep 20 minutes before.
That's
So
not
you
true. I
know,
did a small amount of it yesterday.
just a small amount doesn't count. Um, so before we start, do you want to talk about your criteria, what you're looking at?
Yeah. So Kraft and I both went and looked at every team. We have them all lined up on one big doc in front of us, and we're looking for different things that we think maybe makes a good or a strong team. Mine, for singles, I am looking for the ability to set hazards, how many and what different types you have, your ability to remove your opponent's hazards, the speed gap, the biggest speed gap between your mons. So if you had a mon that was base 60 speed and your next fastest thing was 120, that's a huge gap, and that might be a problem in prep. I'm looking at the number of mons you have that have priority moves. Doesn't matter if they're good or not. I count if you get quick attack and that's all you got, I still counted it. And then I counted what clerics you have, if you have heal bell or if you have wish on your team.
Because we talked about it in PMs, we should note for removal, you didn't count Ice Spinner, in case anyone is wondering.
That's true. I didn't count it because it only removes
Right.
terrain, which is not something that like that would I would have to count defog just for terrain as well again.
Yeah.
I did count mortal spin and I counted court change because those came up. I did not count tidy up because nobody in Origin took mousehold.
Yes, and then as for me, I was looking at if you have any absorbs or immunities, and your what I'm calling type inclusiveness. So out of the 18 types, how many does your team have? And then for each coach, we also have individual rankings. So how we organize this usually is we go through each coach, we bash them to the ground, we rank them individually. We say how we feel about them in division, and maybe some other fun things. Like I have what's called a fear factor, which is if I was to run around the region, how afraid of your team would I be? Legends Arceus style. Um,
I feel
and
like this is probably a good point to throw in that disclaimer that these are our thoughts on your team. We're not omnipotent gods. We don't know everything, but these are our thoughts. They are correct, and you should feel bad if we don't like your team.
Yes. And then all the way at the end is when we're going to do the actual PR and rank all 16 teams at once. With that, I think we're good enough to jump in, shall we?
Sounds good. Do you want to start off with Lycanroc?
Yes. So first up in Lycanroc is a new coach, JT. What do you want to say?
All right. Well, first off, I'm just going to quickly. Maybe we shouldn't rattle off the mons because that's like 200
there's
mons.
images. There's images. You guys can look.
Okay. I really like the way this team can handle kind of setting up and getting rid of hazards. I think it's got a consistent amount. It's got webs, which not as many teams had as I expected. Usually we have more web setters than this. It's got webs. It's got 3 different ways to set up rocks. It can consistently get rid of those hazards. And it's got a steady amount of priority. It's got 6 different things that can use some format of priority.
Yeah. So on my side, 11 absorb and / immunity type things, which means if you need to swap to something to, not take damage from a hit, good chance you'll not take damage from said hit. I will say 11 was about the average in Origin. And then for type inclusiveness, you've got 14 out of the 18 types. Fear factor. If I was running around in my day-to-day life and I saw these mons out in the wild, I rate this 9 out of 10 on fear factor. Probably the one mon I wouldn't be scared of is Meloetta.
That feels fair, yeah.
Yeah, this is. I
Maybe
mean,
Granville because it's a dog, and I would expect a
nah,
dog to
nah.
behave
Those tusks, hell no.
nice. Yeah, that they are freaky
But
tusks.
if I see, Iron Valiant coming at me with that scythe, I am out of there. But
Not fast
yes,
enough. He's going to catch you.
yes. And I think that kind of leads into the point of I think Iron Valiant is probably the biggest threat on this team, and if you can deal with that, you can probably deal with most of this team.
That is very true. One thing I noticed is this team is extremely reliant on keeping those sticky webs up. Not a lot of things on this team have ways to boost their own speed in any kind of meaningful way. So if the webs are down, this is overall a relatively slow team. The highest speed is only 116, and we have some teams that are hitting 150 over here. 116 is just not as fast as it used to be.
Yeah, and I guess we should also mention this season is going to be very interesting. You'll probably hear us talk about it a lot, but there is new toy syndrome. We have all the new Arceus mons, plus all the new Scarlet Violet mons that are being used for the first time now in this league, at least.
I fell hard into new toy syndrome.
Yes,
I know
so
full
a
well
lot of
I took too
people,
many.
and so we don't know exactly how a lot of these mons are going to interact with each other. We don't know how good a lot of them are going to be. Also, we don't know how useful a lot of them are going to be to people. Some people might have more experience based off of other leagues they're in. We should also mention we're not counting, of course, player style or anything like that. This is just purely looking at your team on paper. How good is
Yeah,
it? But
might
yeah,
as well have crossed your name out when doing these rankings.
yeah. So we don't know like how good a lot of these mons are going to be. Like I don't have that much experience with the new formats. So a lot of what I say could be wrong, it could be right, could be a premonition of the future, who knows.
Before we leave JT, I do want to comment on their Terra captains.
Mm-hmm.
Meloetta, I think, is great. Meloetta has a lot of bulk. It learns a lot of moves and a lot of different types. I think that could be really useful. My problem is Grafii. I don't think in a singles format, Grafii is going to get enough
Yes.
benefit out of Terra.
Yeah, so I agree. Grafii is underwhelming to me at least. I'm not sure what exactly it's supposed to do. Again, I haven't played that much of this format. I don't know if it's a secret killer or anything like that. But
It's a really good support mon, but it doesn't benefit in any way
yeah,
from suddenly being a different type,
yeah.
except to maybe live one hit.
So yeah, I definitely think that something else probably could have been the Terra Cap. With that, do you want to give your ranking in the division?
Let's get to the end of the division and do all four at once.
Okay. Guess we're moving on to number 2, returning coach, LuckyShinx. So
I like this. Oh, go ahead. You
yeah,
can start this one.
so this team has, I'd say, probably the 2 biggest new toys, probably the 2 most important new toys, arguably, in Espathra and Orthworm. You agree?
I think what you mean is Shedtail, and then I'll agree
Yes.
because Shedtail
Yes.
definitely.
Yes,
Uh,
Shedtail.
I think Espathra is probably not the biggest new toy, but I think it's going to be one of the most consistent new toys.
Yes, because I have seen quite a bit of replays and discussion online about how this thing is a killer. And
Oh yeah,
I
this
am
thing
excited to see that.
especially because he slapped Terra on it. This
Yes.
ostrich is going to claim a lot of lives.
Yes. I am very excited for that, personally. Yeah, so I think those two really boost this team quite a bit, at least in my standing.
Yeah, especially together. If you get a Shedtail off to Espathra, that's horrifying.
Yeah. And then just a lot of the returning mons, Dragonite is always classic. Tapu Fini, classic. Zeraora, let's not get into that discussion about naming, but yes, classic. Chandelure, it's great. Like there is a lot of really good mods on this team. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
honestly, the only weak link is Zangoose, and even then, it's not that weak of a link. Like there are significantly worse things that were drafted.
yes. And Zangoose could potentially do something interesting with Terra, which is what I'm hoping will happen here.
Yeah. Oh, there's a couple cool things it could do with Terra.
Yes. So it'll be very interesting to see that. So for the fear factor, I gave it 6 out of 10. I think a lot of the mods, not too scary if you were to, meet them Legends Arceus style. But Zangoose, Zeraora, Beedrill, they will definitely be trying to kill you.
I think my one concern with this team, the only hazard removal this team has, is 2 defoggers. One of them's
Mhm.
Tapu Fini, and that's awesome. The other one is Dragonite, who can never afford defog.
Yeah.
Um, so if you can hazard stack before the Espathra gets in, chances are good you can whittle it down before it gets a chance to set up. And I think Lucky working around that is going to be the most important thing for him this season.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's any other comments here. Yeah, no, I think this team is fairly classic. It's got the good elements like we were talking about, and it's got two of the most interesting new elements coming in, and so I think it's going to stand up really well. With that, number 3. Oh, this
Trash
guy's
Ghost,
team.
just skip him. Yeah,
This guy's
terrible.
team. So yes, this is a team that fell too hard on the new toys.
I tried to do more too. I honestly, I miscounted my points. I was supposed to have one more.
So this is, I think that's going to hurt a little bit, just because who knows how those new mons are going to work. I will say that. I do like Quivor though. I think I just it's such a silly mon. I think that'll be interesting. Gudra Hisuian Gudra is amazing. I love the typing. It's got Gooey, it's got Sap Zipper, it's great. Um, I think that's going to be the real standout though. Um, what else? Yeah,
Do you still want to talk about me, or do I talk about me
yeah.
now?
Go ahead, talk about you.
All
I
right.
can think.
I think Tier 2 Terra available Salamence is a mistake, which is
I
why I
argued
drafted it
against it.
immediately.
I argued against it. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I also feel like Mega Medicham maybe should have been banned this season because it got Trailblaze in close combat, which removed all of the things that made Mega Medicham workable.
Hmm.
But beyond that, I really did like I had like 3 Hisui mons before I was like, oh, you know what? I might as well just draft the rest of Hisui while I'm at it. Mostly just to try them all out because I thought it would be funny.
So I'm looking at it. Your team actually has the most amount of absorbs and immunities at 13.
That's unintentional. That was not a conscious choice.
So that will be great for needing to switch into anything. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think almost everything on the team has an immunity
yeah,
somewhere.
which is
Almost.
really, really good. Always fun to have. I do try to count those for myself when I draft. But yeah, I love Lantern. Lantern is such a great low value pick, in my opinion. Most people love it, I think, at this point. Medicham, of course, strong mega. I already talked about how great I think Gudra's going to be. Gengar and Salamence, yeah, no, that's terrifying. Especially since people wanted to let it Terra.
Yeah, no, I fully intend to make everyone regret that choice.
Yeah. Um, yeah,
Also, just full disclaimer, this video is being recorded after some battles have happened.
we
They
ignore
are
that.
not impacting standings.
Yeah.
Things that may or may not have already happened didn't
Yeah, we're
impact your rank.
treating this as if week 0 just ended and week 1 has
Last
not started. But yeah.
last thing I want to say about my team, and then we can move on, is that my team is one of 2 teams that hit the maximum speed of base 150. There are theoretically Pokemon that are faster than that, but none of them got drafted. So there was only 2 teams that hit 150, and this is one of them.
Oh God, right? Jesus fuck. Just looking at the numbers. Yeah. No, I'm just so not used to anything anymore. I'm out of the loop. Yeah, with that, let's go to team number 4, the last of Lycanroc. Goose.
I love this team.
0 out of 10, it has the worst Donphan variant.
Okay, so it does have the worst Donphan variant, but it's still a really
got
good
Roaring
team.
Moon.
Yeah, it's right there. That's like, how many wins is that? That's probably 6 wins on its own.
Yeah, there's... Yeah, God, I just trying to think of what to say. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good setup bonds on this team from just quick glance. I fucking hate Iron Trends. I can't.
Its face is stupid. I don't like his little
I hate it.
his little light bright face. It throws me off.
Yeah. I will say this is one of the many teams. So no team got the full type inclusiveness of 18 out of 18. This is one of the many that is 17 out of 18.
I like that. I had one season where I got all 18 out of 18, and it felt good just for the sake of having it.
Yeah, I will say fear factor. I gave this. I think this is the lowest. No, it's tied for the low. No, this is not the lowest. I'm lying. It's a 4
You're
out
just
of 10,
laughing
though.
so hard at Iron Treads that you can't.
Yeah.
You forget that the Roaring Moon's there.
4 out of 10, mainly because of Roaring Moon. And
Yeah,
Buzzwole.
it got 4 points by itself.
3 points Roaring Moon, 1 point Buzzwole.
That's right. This is like,
no, sorry.
yeah,
4
thinking about
points
it like
Roaring Moon,
it's a cute
negative
team.
1 point Iron Trends. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. But, like, again, this team is a lot of setup, and I think if you just don't let it set up, you kind of save yourself here.
Yeah, there's a lot of mons that can hit hard right off the bat, but a lot of them also prefer to set up.
Yeah.
Like Toxtricity can run specs. It likes the ability to shift gear. Like Poltegeist can't do anything without Shell Smash.
Regice, Snorlax. Yeah.
Knuckle Stack. Speaking of, I really love Knuckle Stack on this team. I think Salt Cure is going to help punch just enough of a hole in things that the rest of the team is just going to get Okos.
Yeah, so if you can stop this team from setting up, I think you're safe, but I do think this team is quite dangerous if you even let it set up once.
Is really good at setting
Please be careful. Yes. And it's got Mantine there, so be very careful.
Mantine's great.
Mantine is fucking amazing.
All right,
don't
demonetize
me.
Before we leave Lycanroc division,
yes.
We've got in-division rankings, and I'll just go down my line real quick.
Yes.
In 4th place, I have JT's team. I think it just has too little in the way of getting faster when it needs to, and that's going to hurt it in the long run. Then I have LuckyShinx's team, which I think is really good. I don't think this is a bad team. I just think it's going to be really let down by having to be so reliant on Finny to defog every single time. I have myself at 2nd. I like my team a lot. It's got a ton of power behind it. I just think it's relatively easily overwhelmed. And then Goose's team, it's just so good. This is a beautiful team.
Minus the Iron Treads.
Yeah, okay. So it's a beautiful team and an Iron Treads.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. As long as we agreed on that. With that, I think we can move on to Dragapult division.
That seems fair.
Starting off with another new coach in Talk.
Is it Talk or is it Tack?
I don't know. It's a Tic Tac.
Okay.
Paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came running home.
Wow, we really went through that whole thing.
Yes. And with that, I will say, what do I want to say? I'm out of it.
All right. While you're giggling, I'm going to start.
Yeah, go ahead.
The first thing that jumps out to me looking at this team is 110 is too slow. That is not a number you can afford to be your fastest mon when everybody else is hitting 120, 130, up to 150.
Yeah. So with that, like I like a lot of the individual mods on this team. Like I like Mew, that's a great mod. Rotom Wash is great. Hydreigon's great. Landorus is great. Incineroar is great. But a lot of the other mods, I think, just nothing like feels like it works together, and I think it's gonna fall apart.
Yeah, I agree. Each individual piece is good, but there's none of the pieces seem like they were made to work together.
Yeah, like what's Muck doing there, Chief? I mean, it's an interesting pick. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see Muck do something amazing. Like sweep someone with Muck, please. But like, what's it doing there?
It is, as far as I can tell, being a grounded poison type to soak up toxic spikes, and that might be it.
Yeah, like could probably find something better.
Does it learn toxic spikes? Oh, it does. I have it listed. Yeah, it learns
Yeah.
toxic spikes.
Like I think there's probably better things. But yeah, like a lot of the pieces are great, but just nothing feels cohesive. And I think
Yeah.
that is the big thing here.
So that can be a positive because that means, a team where like 3 or 4 pieces work together. Like if you have a Sun team, I can plan for that whole Sun team at once because I know how it's going to work. This team, every piece could be kind of interswapped in and out like Legos.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it necessarily is enough to justify none of the pieces working together.
Yeah. I gave this team a fear factor of 7 out of 10. I mean, if I saw a giant ooze or what's it called, Yoki Ona, I believe that's how it's pronounced. I apologize for mispronunciations. Giant 3-headed dragon, or a washing
A
machine.
washing machine.
Yeah, I would be quite terrified. Or of course, a boxer.
Yeah, Jackie Chan
But
specifically.
Mew and Shaman, if they were to come up to me, that's just cuddles. That's Cuddle City right
I'm
there.
happy. I want that.
That's Cuddle City, yeah. But yeah, and then type inclusiveness, 15 out of 18. It's got most of the types. But yeah, I don't know, maybe figure out ways to just get your team, get those links. That's the big thing.
I have 2 very positive things to say about this team.
Okay.
This team has the most hazard removal of any team in Origin.
Okay.
They have 4 defoggers and a rapid spinner. And this team has the smallest speed gap possible out of all of the teams. There's only a 12 base point gap between Rotom Wash and Hydreigon, which is awesome because that is low enough. Like the reason speed gaps are important is because if there's a big enough gap, I can just run Adamant instead of Jolly because I don't need any of that speed. With only a 12-point gap, I can't afford to do that anymore.
Can't wait for someone to argue, who needs speed?
Oh, people get so mad at me for speed.
Obviously, they've never watched the Cars movies.
Or Turbo, that one about the snail.
Yeah. All right. With that, shall we move on?
Yeah.
All right. I don't even know who this guy is. You want to introduce him?
Yeah. So this is BigSchoen. He's been around a while. You might know him for drafting the full EV team and having Gmax EV, and somehow making playoffs with that.
Never heard of him.
It's kind of insulting, to be honest.
Yes. So, this is a team that exists. So, okay. So this is another team where I like a lot of the individual pieces, but personally, I don't like the team.
I like Mega Lopunny, and I like the bulky bottom half of the team.
Yes.
I like Suicune, Clefable, Crocolore, Cofagrigus, and Baxcalibur. I think that's an awesome, really bulky, slow section of the team.
Yeah.
Everything from Salazzle to Landorus T they're fine. There's nothing wrong with any of those mons. But they're just fine.
I feel like a better fire type probably could have been picked.
I think Salazzle's important here because based on 17 speed.
Crocolore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I treat Salazzle more as a poison. But yeah, Salazzle's great. So you can always a great pick. I mean, I think it's probably one of the best bulky waters you can go for, in all honesty. Just as
Yeah, if you
everything.
just want, yeah, just if you want a standalone water, it doesn't have to support anyone else. It's just here to exist. It's the best one.
Yeah. I'm interested in the Aqua Tauros. I really want to see it do something cool.
I have Fire Tauros in another league, and I
Yes.
really like it.
The
But
new
Aqua Tauros
Tauros,
does not,
yeah. The new Tauroses just seem interesting, so I kind of want to see something exciting from them. I say that now, and it will be benched forever. I can already tell.
what I want to know is I want to know what Silvali's doing here. It lost multi-attack. That move is gone.
Oh, that is true. I think this man just loves
So
Silvally because I think he's drafted it a lot.
it's one of the 3 mons he's used as a mascot.
Yes, I think he just loves it. We say
Yeah,
this now, he won't realize, and he'll switch it out.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure
Maybe,
when drafting we discussed it.
maybe, yeah.
It kept defog, and it has was that is U-turn and parting shot, so it's not useless. It's just not all of the offensive sets just
Yeah.
lost their best move.
I mean, you can still get every type, I guess. So, just can't do damage of every type.
And yet I'm looking down there and I see type inclusiveness. You have him at 12 and not 18.
Okay, so this is based off of the base types, okay? But yes, he is, I think, the lowest. Yeah, he is the lowest out of all of Origin at 12 out of 18 types. I mean, that's fairly obvious with 2 fires, 2, what else was it? Waters.
2 waters.
Yeah, quite a bit of
2 ground.
monos. A lot of monos.
Oh no, not 2 grounds. Coffergigas isn't ground. That's the other one.
Yeah, but there's a lot of monos, and that definitely adds up. So there is that.
This is another one of those teams that's going to rely really heavily on a small number of hazard removals. It's just Silvally and Landorus T. So if you ever battle this team and you see one of them didn't show up, the other one has defog.
Yeah.
Especially with all this bulk, this team can't really afford to be racking up hazard damage. Especially Crocolore can't afford to take that hit because it has to hold a Violite.
Yep. With that, any final thoughts for this team?
Terra Baxcalibur is going to be a nightmare.
Yes.
I'm horrified at that.
Well, with that, let's go on to the next team. BerserkBigeon. I think
I'm going to say the same thing I said for TAC. 110 is too slow.
I will say I like the Terra Flygon. I think that'll be fun.
Oh, anything with Levitate and Terra is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, anything,
For no other
not
reason that you
just
can just
Levitate,
be an
but
electric.
not just Levitate, but any, like, absorbing ability, honestly.
But with Levitate, you can become an electric and have no weaknesses. Which, maybe
Yeah.
Flygon doesn't want to do that. There's other options, but you always have no weaknesses as one of your options.
Yes. Let me see here. Okay. One of the teams with the most types, 17 out of 18. I do like. This is one of those teams where I just like a lot of the mons on this team. Togekiss is. Everyone's going to hate you because you have it. You're going to be flinching everybody or parrying everybody. Blastoise. I personally like Blastoise. Flygon. I mean, I said I like Flygon as Terra. I also just like Flygon in general. I think it's great.
I think everyone likes Flygon.
Yeah,
I've never met someone who doesn't like Flygon.
we say this now. Someone's gonna be like, I hate Flygon. And then also, I think Gourgeist is really cool. I want you to do something really cool with it because every time I've drafted it, I've had to trade it away because I didn't have space for it. So please do something good with Gourgeist.
When I drafted it, I kept it, but I don't think it ever did anything notable. It is worth noting you get all 4 Gorgeist forms, so you do have multiple different defensive stats and different speeds that you can switch between as you need them.
Yes.
I don't like Stoutland on this team. I don't see what it's doing. I see that there's a Tyranitar. I get the concept for Sand Rush. Stoutland is bad at sand rushing.
Yeah, I
You
don't
could have
think this is
drafted
a
regular
great
Sand Slash.
sand team. I don't know if this team wants sand necessarily.
It's got T-Tar. It's going to have sand because you're not
Yeah.
running on Nerf T-Tar. Don't lie.
Whoa. I don't know. We're going to see something amazing from BerserkBigeon with Unnerve here, I believe.
You lose like effectively 50 base stat total for picking that ability because you lose your Spadef boost.
Berserk, please pick Unnerve.
Don't do that.
I got $20 on this.
That's bad. One thing I will point out, this is one of only 2 teams to have all 4 hazard types. They've got 1 set of webs, 1 toxic spikes, 3 stealth rockers, and 1 regular spikes.
I mean, Glamora will do that.
Yeah, Glamora is kind of easy mode for that.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of the mons on this team. I think it's, again, one of those teams where it's just cohesiveness is a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I can see that. One thing I don't love, the clerics on this team are the worst clerics of any team that has clerics. Your wishes come from Mega Gallade, who will never have time to do that, and from Togekiss, who doesn't really have the bulk to do it.
Yeah.
And the only heal bell user is also Togekiss.
Yep.
Who can't really afford to do that.
Yep. First-hand experience there. Yeah. Any final thoughts for this team before we move on to the next one?
Get some speed, man. I don't care who you drop, although it should always be Stoutland. Get something fast.
Yeah. Stoutland's probably the thing you can just get rid of here. I don't see the use, Chief. With that, we go to another Aussie in Cuppa.
This is the other team that hit 150 base speed. They did it with more style, because Mega Aerodactyl is definitely better than Hisuian Electrode.
Yeah. I will say I do like quite a bit of the mods on this team. There's a lot of really interesting stuff. I will say there's a lot of new toy syndrome here as well. But I think it's a lot of fun toys.
I think this team did New Toy Syndrome better. Because
Yes.
this is the first team, we're now, 8 teams in. This is the first team where I feel like there was an idea going in. We have a Torkoal. Then we have, for Sun Abusers, Tangrowth, Slitherwing, Chi-Yu,
Oh god,
and Sandy Shocks.
Chi-Yu will just be destroying people. That thing is terrifying.
Yeah, this team loves Sun and does really well abusing it, offensively and defensively.
Yeah. I mean, okay, Sandy Shocks, I've gotten it quite a few times. It is quite fun to use. Slitherwing looks so cool. Chi-Yu, like we said, is going to be the destroyer of worlds. And then we, of course, have Mega Arrow, which also destroyer of worlds. And then I think it has 2 of my potentially favorite walls in Milotic and Tangrowth.
Yeah, this is going to be a very tough team to break.
Yeah.
I don't love Hisuian Avalugg because I just think it's a terrible mod.
Yeah, that thing's just terrible.
It looks really cool, and that is the only positive thing I can say about it.
Yeah, that boss battle made me want to cry, but that's about it.
That boss battle looked super cool.
Yeah, I think you can probably swap that out, get something more interesting for 40 points. I'm not sure what without looking at the list, but probably good idea. Maybe an electric type. Oh no, you got Sandy. Yeah.
One thing I don't love about this team, it only has Stealth Rocks. It has a ton of Stealth Rocks. 6 different mons can set Stealth Rocks.
You can never be
but
sure.
Nothing can set anything else.
You can never be too
Oh,
sure.
wait, I lied. Sandy Shocks can set spikes. It's got one spiker as well.
Yeah. But yeah, Tangrowth Milotic will be defensively killing you, while Chi-Yu and Sandy Shocks and Slitherwing and Arrow are just actually like mauling your face off. And
Garganical is just every week it's splashable. You just pick what Terra type you want it to be, and you run the same set every week, and it will always work because that ability and Salt Cure are busted.
yeah, so this will be, this is definitely one of the upper teams. So definitely be on the lookout for this one. Be careful with your planning. For those of you that do actually plan. With that, what are your Dragapult rankings?
Is I like Shane's team the most, and I'm going to go in opposite order this time and start at the top and work down. I like Shane's team the most because I think every piece of it is reliable, except maybe Silvally, and it doesn't rely on any particular gimmicks. Cuppa's team is a very close second, and I only put it there because if you can take away the sun, the team loses a huge chunk of its offensive presence. And I think Hisuian Avalugg is a worse weak link than Silvally is.
Yeah, that's fair.
Third place, I've got BerserkBigeon. I think this is another one of those teams where every piece is kind of nice, except Stoutland. Stoutland is bad. Every piece is nice. It's a little slow, but it's workable, and it has webs to patch that up. And that is the webs specifically are why I put it over Tax Team, which has a similar slow issue, and all the pieces are nice but don't necessarily mesh. But they don't have the webs to patch it up.
Okay. With that, onto the third division. Infernape starting out with Middy.
I think this might be the perfect draft team.
I really like this team. Maybe one mon I don't like, but it's not that big a deal.
I
But
don't
yeah,
even know what I would change. I love kind of the whole thing.
I kind of don't like Passimian, but that's just because I don't like the mon in and of itself.
You just think he's an ugly monkey?
Yeah, I think you could probably find a better fighting type, maybe. But yeah, this is a great team. Vileplume, we will all hate it this season. It will be what's it called? Sap. I know what I'm
Sap
thinking.
Sipper.
Yeah, sap sippering you.
Oh,
You will be crying.
no, wait, that's the ability. Strength Sap is the
Strength sap.
attack.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Unleash seeding, and you will be crying to your mom and to
I
me,
love it.
and then Chien Pao's gonna come in. He's gonna do some fancy blade work, and all your mons are going to be gone. Yeah,
Yeah, I
this.
think this team is because I had to find something wrong with every team. My complaint here: there's only two defoggers and there's no rapid spinners. There is Mega Diancie just to bounce them back hazards initially, but Moltres is probably going to be the defogger nearly every week
Yeah.
because Scizor often wants to do something else.
What's sad though is Moltres will be taking so much damage coming into like rocks.
This Moltres got boots. It only has boots. It will never hold another item. It will always have boots.
Psh, boots are lame. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
I like it.
Vaporeon is great, Ironmoth is great. We got Dunsparce. Yeah, there's a lot of
I love that the Dunsparce is the Terra captain. I can't wait to see what crazy
yeah.
crap happens with
That's
that.
going to be very saddening for the enemies. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna do some
I'm
glare
happy.
stuff,
I mean, in
like
general,
headbutt.
I will say, in general, I think everyone picked fairly interesting captains. I think most teams have one captain where it's like this was the obvious choice, and then one where it was like this is the fun choice. I think most teams did something like that,
I think so.
and I am
Uh,
so happy it went that way. I mean, probably it's because of points, but I'm so happy it went that way.
Yeah, and I'm sure, it wasn't just like, oh, this is a silly pick. There was
Yeah,
a reason for each of them.
yeah. You
So
know
there's
that
on
on the
each team
week
is
8,
a fun
you're
one.
exactly going to do this tech against your enemy. That's exactly why. I
Yeah.
know. I got you all.
I think Cuppa's the only team where I'm looking at. I'm like, yeah, no, those are obvious choices. Those are definitely what
Yeah.
had to be captains.
But yeah, no, this team is extremely scary. I would hate facing this. Be careful, everyone, please. And if you need to cry, I will not be here for you. Maybe T4U,
I might. I'll
but
consider it.
only
It
because I'm
depends on
gonna.
how bad he
I'm
beats
only
you.
gonna. That's only because I'm gonna force him. But yeah.
Oh, I guess I've been conscripted. I'm sorry.
But yeah. 16 out of 18 types. 7 absorb/immunities, which is definitely on the low end. And yeah, 7 out of 10 fear factor. Because why would you not be afraid when you got a fucking snow leopard with nunchucks? Who wouldn't be afraid of that? Let's be real here.
I wouldn't be afraid because I'd already be dead.
Exactly. With that, because we're dead, we're moving on to Gators.
There are things I don't like in this team.
Alright, so first, because we said 0 out of 10 to Iron Chest, we gotta say 10 out of 10 Great Tusk.
Great Tusk is perfect. That's true.
I love Great Tusk so much. It is everything I have ever wanted out of Donphan. It is the Mega Donphan I never had.
Great Tusk is perfect. I love Woe Chain. I think those are
Okay,
two of the most interesting mons.
I like. Yeah, so I like. Okay, to add to that, I like Raikou.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, Raiku's just, it's
Yeah,
not a new toy.
it's not a new toy, but I like it. I think those 3 specifically can have potentially really interesting interactions. And it'll be interesting.
I don't love Magmar. I've seen multiple people draft
I say
Magmar. I've
we
never
say
seen
this
anyone
every
enjoy
time
Magmar.
someone picks Magmar, and it's always why.
There are other fire types. There are other fire types in the same tier that you could have picked that would have been
Now, I
better.
will say this is one of the few 20-point mons that were picked. So there is that. But yeah.
That's fair. I
But
don't
yeah.
love Pinsir as a Terra Captain. I get the idea, right? Like it becomes a pretty good Moxie sweeper with close combat.
Yeah, Staraptor makes sense. I can see it.
I almost wouldn't
Pinsir.
have picked Staraptor either. I probably would have picked
No,
Raikou.
I think there's definitely better ones. But I can kind of see it at least with Staraptor.
Yeah, or like Woe Chain. Woe Chain is a great Terramon because Grass Dark is a shit type,
Yeah.
but it gets amazing moves. Like you Terra in into Poison, that would have been amazing.
Yeah. I think also this is the team with Golden Go. So be wary of that. That is a
It's a
mon
really
that
cool
has
mod.
been surfing on everyone's bodies. So
What a
yeah.
sentence.
I'm trying. Yeah.
I think this is the team that benefited the most from us keeping legacy move sets because this team has Weavile, who went
Yeah.
from being nearly perfect to completely broken, like in a bad sense, like snapped in half, to being fixed again.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where just a lot of the for a lot of the teams we've been saying like they don't work together, and while I have said that, I think this team has potentially interesting interactions. I don't think this team works very well. As much as I love a lot of the mons on this team, and I want them to succeed, and as much as I love Great Tusk and Raikou, like I don't see it doing too well, sadly.
This team has a lot of really cool bulk that is
Yes.
going to be very easy to chip down over time because this team has
Yes.
no wish. It has one heal bell in Mega Altaria who can't really afford to run it most of the time.
Yeah, and Yeah, that's just not the best mon. I don't really
So
like it. Yeah.
there is the Weezing does have the Misty terrain, so you can't get status. But if that's not up, half these mons are ruined by Toxic.
Okay, here's a thought for you. So this team was one of the few teams that made a week 0 trade. They before Staraptor, it was originally Klefki. Do you think this trade made it better?
I think Staraptor is better than Klefki, yes. In this,
Okay.
you lose a Defogger, and you lose some spikes, but Staraptor plugged a better speed tier of base 100 is really important, and that power is a lot more
I think
important, I
also it
think.
just needed another offensive mon on this team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Staraptor is better.
Okay. With that, we go to the next team, which is probably the most talked about team
Yeah, if there
that
was
we
a Fans'
have.
Choice Award, this one wouldn't even be allowed to be nominated.
We got Umbravision with the bulk team, to put it nicely.
Very polite way of calling it.
Okay, I will be honest. I kinda like it. I kinda dig it. I'm not
I
gonna
think if
lie.
the goal was to set out and draft stall, this is a perfectly drafted stall team.
I mean, there's maybe 1, 2 mons I don't like. Maybe would have found a different way to do it, but I kinda like this, and I can't help but laugh that this was accomplished.
Oh, this is great.
Um, I love Skeledirge. I mean, that is such a cool mon, such a great typing, and it's got Unaware, which is fun. And of course, as most people know, it is an amazing Terror Captain.
Oh man, it's gonna do so well. Um,
Yes.
I think the only mons I don't love on this team are Hitmonlee and Gotharita.
My
Hitmonlee,
two exact problems.
I don't think Hitmonlee is doing enough for what it
Yeah.
is. I think you could have found a better fighting type. You could have found a
Yeah.
better rapid spinner.
I think it was just weird. They were looking for another offensive mon and they went for Hitmonlee, but definitely something else probably could have been picked. Hitmonlee's not that great. Um, but yeah.
Speaking of not that great, I think Gotharita is. I like the idea of trapping. I think that is a good idea on this team. It would work really well. And Gotharita is not it.
No. That thing will be going down immediately.
Most weeks, yeah.
This team does have Greninja, which gets protein now. No Battle Bond, but it does get protein. And that's going to be probably the main offense on this team. You know, except for the Toxic. But we don't talk about that. That'll be very
Yeah, no,
interesting.
yeah, I think that honestly sums up this team pretty well. They have a
Yeah.
good spread of hazards. Not so great at removal. Only the one defog and the one rapid spin, plus Mega Sableye can magic bounce them back.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get rid of status and avoid being toxic, you're probably fine against this team. If you got like 2 mons that can just pummel through a wall.
Gators with the golden go over there basically just hard walls this entire
Yeah.
team.
I mean, if you can set up, you're safe, honestly. I do love the effort on this team. I'll be real. I love the effort on this team. I can't help but smile whenever I look at this team. I know everyone's going to hate me for that, but I like this. It is
I
funny.
I want this team to do well because I
Please
don't think
make
I've
it to
ever seen
playoffs.
I've never
Please.
seen someone draft stall and do well with it. I want to see it happen.
Please make it to playoffs. um,
One thing I think is
yeah,
important to note, this team is the slowest average speed
I mean,
by a
makes sense.
significant margin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Everyone else is with the fastest speed average is LuckyShinx. You average out at 90.7 base speed. Everyone else is in the low 80s to the low 7. Oh, I lied. I'm sorry. Techromancer is the fastest team at 93. 93.4. Everyone else is in the 80s and the 70s. except Umbravision at 56.5.
I will say, so this is not the lowest ranked fear factor, but it's close. This is another 4 out of 10. Mainly because if I saw Skeledirge or Skarmory coming after me, yeah, no, that'd be terrifying. And maybe Sableye. I mean, it's a gremlin.
Yeah, crocodiles are dangerous, yo.
Yeah, they are. But yeah, I mean, like we said, if you can avoid being toxic or whatever, you're safe. You're pretty much good. With that, let's go to Techromancer.
This team is what happens if you inject nitrous oxide into a team. This team is so fast.
I like a lot of the things on this team. Okay, so Kilowattrel, probably one of my new favorite birds. It's got a great type. It's got Volt Absorb as well, which is so good.
And competitive. Like, its other ability is also great for no reason.
Yes, I don't know. It's so cool. Of course, this is the Dragapult team. It's got Tentacruel. It's got Meowscarada, which also has protein. It's got Steelix Mega, which gives me nightmares still to this day. That thing just if you can't pummel it, you can't pummel it. You know.
Problem is, every team can pummel it.
Yeah, I think this is probably the season where everyone can.
Yeah, I think maybe only the stall team can't beat it one-on-one. Oh,
Maybe
never mind.
Greninja.
It's got Skeledirge. Never mind. I take that back.
Yeah, I will say I'm not 100% sure on the Ursaring.
I think it's a fun idea. It's got ridiculously good stats to be able to hold a Violite, and it's got a really good
Oh, I
move.
forgot about that now.
And it's a Terra Captain, so it's not stuck being a normal type.
I forgot
I
about
think it could
the
be a
Violet
really cool pick.
Ursaring. Okay, yeah, no, okay. Yeah, I can kind of see that now. Yeah, this
Yeah, I
one,
like this team a lot.
yeah, there's a lot of really fun stuff on this team. It's got, yeah, I mean, okay, literally the first 3 months: Dragapult, Meowscarada, Tentacruel. That is a great trio right there.
Well, you skipped a lot of mons to call that the first trio.
Well, okay, on the image that I'm looking at, they're the first 3 on the top.
Oh, I'm looking at the list sorted by base
Yeah,
speed.
yeah,
You
yeah.
you just like jumped 3 at a time.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at their team page. This is the first 3
Uh,
at the top, but yeah.
it hasn't been mentioned, but this team also has Kyurem, which didn't lose anything of value. It kept all of its awesome toys
Yeah.
and is still just as good as it always
Oh,
was.
and this team has Cinderace with Libero.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
double.
no,
I'm
this
just gonna call
is.
them both Protean. Double Protean is really good.
Yeah, no, this team just has a lot of great stuff.
This is the second team, the final team to have all 4 forms of hazard to be set. It's also one of the only 2 teams to have 3 types of hazard removal. It's got 1 defogger, 1 spinner, and Cinderace, of course, can court change.
This is also one of the few teams that is 17 out of 18 for type inclusiveness.
It helps a
It
lot.
does. With that, any final comments before you go on to ranking Infernape Division?
Not that aren't related specifically to the ranking.
Then go at it.
All right. Coming in at 4th, because we'll alternate back and forth, I think Umbravision has to take the 4th slot purely because stall is so hard to run in draft. When you know it's coming, easy to prep around it, and I think that hurts it, although I really would love to be proven wrong. I think Gators comes in 3rd in this division. This is not a bad team. It is really well drafted. I don't like Magmar. I don't love Pinsir. And just the other 2 teams are just so well put together. It's not even that this team had faults, it's that the other teams just didn't. I'm putting Techromancer in 2nd, and the only reason it came in 2nd is because I think Middy's team might genuinely be flawless.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's pretty fair. With that, on to the last division, Blaziken, starting with Krumel. Oh boy. Where to begin with this team? It's got some interesting toys. A lot of interesting toys. I mean, it has Clodsire, which is probably the new Pokemon mascot.
Oh, I'm gonna be so excited with the anime gives the new main character girl a Clodsire. I don't think they will, but I want them
Yeah.
to.
Obviously, it's got Cyclizar with Shed Tail. And then it has Charizard Mega Eggs, Tapu Koko, Iron Thorns. And it's got Necrozma, which I am looking forward to.
Necrozma lost the single best thing it had in Photon Geyser, but it
Yeah,
still has a lot of really cool tricks.
yes. This is
This is
the,
the
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
All right, I was gonna say this is the second team that seemed to lean really hard into a theme. We've got electric terrain here, so Tapu Koko, Iron Jugulus, Iron Thorns, all benefit off that same terrain. And especially with Iron Thorns being a Terra Captain, so it can switch off its pretty bad Rock Electric typing. This team is gonna go places. It's gonna do really well with that.
This is also the last team to have 17 out of 18 types. But it has one of the lowest absorbs and immunities at 8. So a lot of moves will be getting hit. So just, be careful. Know what you're switching into. All the good stuff.
This team has a pretty good defensive backbone in Alomomola, Fortress, Clodsire. Got a lot of hazards in there. You've got a Wish support mon.
Yeah, Almamola and
Clodsire is
Clodsire
unaware.
alone. Those two alone, honestly, are great.
Yeah, I like that as a defensive backbone. It will do everything you need it to most of the time.
Yeah. Yep. Clodsire also, I believe, gets T-Spikes, right?
Does,
So,
yes.
yeah, so that's going to be really good. This
Yeah,
team
this
will
team has
definitely be chipping you down.
it's got a heavy set of hazards. It's got 4 Stealth Rockers, 2 T-Spikers, 3 Spikers.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is a good team.
I am afraid of Cyclizar passing a Shed Tail to Hisui and Lilligant, and Lilligant doing, well, I think it's called Victory Dance. It's the physical quiver
Don't
dance.
forget, Lilligant is
That's scary.
also a Terra Captain.
I know. And it has Hustle. This is so scary.
It's great. Honestly, the two Shed Tail teams are very interesting.
And they did such a good job of backing it up. Like, okay, I've got Shed Tail. Here's all the ways I'm going to make it win.
Yeah. With that, any final comments before we go to the next person?
No, pretty happy with this
All
team.
right, so this
Rotom
person,
Frost feels weird, but
yeah.
otherwise,
So this person is banned, and that is Howell. So Aragon Mega and Mudsdale. I love and hate it at the same time. They're great. Also, this is the team with Spectrier, which I'm so glad that thing doesn't have Terra.
but it got Draining Kiss this gen, so it doesn't even need it.
Yeah, sounds about right.
The one thing that consistently stopped Spectrier is gone now.
Yeah. I like the Surledge Terra Captain. Not so sure about Audino Terra Captain.
I do not like Audino as a choice, though.
Honestly,
I
just
would have probably slapped
in
it on
general,
Mudsdale.
I don't like Audino, but that's a whole different topic. Yeah. Okay, let's see. So, yeah, I think you should have had more points. Could have given it to someone else. I think could have been more interesting to do something else there. But yeah.
Even Sneasel, I think, would have been a really interesting recipient of
Yeah,
that.
that could have been cool. That could have been really cool. I do like Quackaville. Quack, yeah, Quackquavel? Yeah, whatever.
I have no I've been calling it Quaquavel, but I don't know if that's
I
right.
don't know.
It doesn't sound right on my tongue.
None of them do. I'm just calling it Quackaville. I don't care. Yeah, no, I think that thing is I think that thing will be dancing on a lot of people's minds. It's got
Oh
moxie,
yeah,
it is scary. Um
Aqua Step is a really good move. They gave all 3 starters really cool signature moves this gen.
yeah, I'm kind of surprised that's not a Terra captain, but at the same time Ceruledge. Edge. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's either one of those. I think would have been a
Yeah,
really good choice.
I
I don't think
think
Ceruledge was wrong.
realistically, I think if there was like another point to use for Terra, it would have been both of them.
Yeah, I think if you could have afforded it, both of them was the correct choice
But
over
we
everything
didn't
else.
allow that, so yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Um, Torn T, I think, is great. It's regen. In general, I do really like this team. I think that just the one thing I don't like is Audino, and specifically picking it as a Terra captain.
Yeah, I don't mind it on the team. I do mind it wasting that Terra slot because I don't think you're going to get any real value out of turning it into a steel type to last longer with wishes. I don't think that's going to be as useful as something else could have been.
I will say as well, I think this team only has like a couple threats, and if you're able to get rid of them, it's just getting rid of walls afterwards, and that's not a problem for most people this gen.
Yeah, this gen got. I mean, it happens every gen. It gets stronger faster than the bulk gets bulky.
Yeah.
One thing I don't love about this team has 2 big speed gaps. One is from Mega Aggron at 50 to Gardevoir at 80, which it's a 30-point jump. That's not ideal, but honestly, nothing slower than Gardevoir is probably running speed anyway, so that one's maybe not that big a deal. But above that, Rotom Mo is 86, and you go from that straight to Sneasel at 115. There are a lot of really important threats in between 115 and 86 that can cut a ton of speed EVs and bulk themselves up or strengthen themselves up and hit harder than this team can afford to let them.
Yeah. With that, what is your rankings for Blaziken? Oh wait, sorry,
We have
we got
two
more.
more teams.
What am
What are
I
you
on?
doing?
What am I on? Batman. I was ready.
This
Finished.
this crazy man drafted Swellow round 1 and then Terra captained it. And if that's not the power move of the century, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a
Yeah, no,
couple.
that's a rip.
That's it. I mean, there's a couple new toys here. I think the thing I'm most excited about on this team is Zoroark. He's sweet.
Oh, I want to see it do cool things. I want to get
Such a good.
pissed because I try to hit it
Oh yeah, no, people are
and
gonna
miss.
forget about its typing, and it's going to destroy because of that. And I can't wait. It
The
is.
bad news is it's made out of wet paper towels, so if you hit
Yeah,
with something that was neutral, it's going down.
yeah. It'll be very interesting. Trying to think if there's Stakataka is Terra. Sure.
That's terrifying. That's awesome.
Yeah. Um, I think Nidoqueen could have been an interesting Terra just because, it gets like literally every TM.
That's true, but also Nidoqueen's typing is kind of perfect for it. I
Yeah.
almost wouldn't want to switch off of it.
And then this is the team with Urshifu, Rapid Strike, which is always scary. Just just be careful of Urshifu.
Yeah, they
Um,
gave it Sword Stance this gen.
yeah.
Um, I will say I don't love this team's defog potential. Swellow can't afford to run defog. You simply don't have the ability to put it on something
Right.
made that frail. And Articuno also has serious issues with being a defogger, given that it is 4 times weak to rocks, and
Yeah.
the only thing stopping it is an easily removed pair of boots.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I do like Slowking Umbreon. I do like that backbone, that wall. Um,
I'm not usually a fan of like slow fat megas because I think it's just so hard to get value out of them
Yeah.
compared to like the fast ones that come in and get a kill.
Yeah.
But Ampharos Mega is absolutely the exception there. I think it is exactly the right level of bulk versus power. It's got like base 170 special attack. That thing can afford to be bulky.
Yeah. With that, on to this time the last person.
Actually, the last
SageSpike.
person in Origin.
Okay. You want to start?
Yeah, sure. I am horrified at the prospect of Terra Hoopa Unbound. This
Yeah,
is
that
so
is
scary.
that is a mistake. But
God closed their eyes that day.
but I think that's also like the only thing I'm scared of on this team.
I am also significantly scared of Sneasler because it is fast and really strong, and every attack it launches has a 30% chance to poison you. So it will hit harder than you
Fair.
think it will
Fair.
30% of the time.
Yeah, that's fair. I say I'm not scared. I rated this 9 out of 10 fear factor. I mean, if most of these were
It's
out of the
mostly just
wild,
for
they
Hoopa.
would just like literally kill you. Yeah, Hoopa, Sneasler, Mantabuzz, Scizor, yeah. But yeah, like there's a lot of just I feel like just a couple types specifically can just disintegrate this team.
Yeah. I don't love on this team. I think Golisopod is always a bad choice. I don't think there's a team it does well on. I don't think it's that it doesn't fit here. I think it just doesn't fit anywhere.
Yeah, I don't get why they let it keep emergency exit. Like it made sense on Wimpod.
It's not even that they kept it. They literally changed the name. They made
Yeah,
two abilities that did the same thing.
classic. Yeah.
Um, so this team has the worst clerics. Now, Cuppa's team does not have any clerics. It's the only team that has nothing with no wish or heal bell. But SageSpike has one, and it's somehow worse than not having any
Okay.
because Jolteon is by far the worst cleric I've ever seen.
So this team previously did not have Jolteon. It previously had Circuitry. So
I honestly probably would have kept Circuitry.
interesting.
I would have kept the
I
power.
feel like there's a future trade that's being made here because that's a gain of 40 points. So I think something is being gained here. I mean, I know that they did it for their Terra captain because they originally wanted Circuitry as the Terra, but because of point values, they couldn't, which is why Jolteon came in as the Terra.
Yeah, if you couldn't afford, Hoopa was the right choice. Circuitry would not have been the right choice for that.
Yeah. But I think with those 40 points, you need to touch up your team somewhere. Where? Maybe. Oh, that's your only 40. No, you could probably get rid of Golisopod for something better, honestly. Go for a
Get rid of
100 there.
Golisopod, get rid of Hatterene, use those extra points to get something more useful than either of them. This team's too fast for Trick Room. Hatterene's too slow to just be a standard mon.
Yeah. With that, what are your Blaziken rankings?
All right, switching it back around again. The best team in Blaziken, in my opinion, is Krumel's team. I think it's got a cool electric terrain synergy. Cyclizar being able to pass those shed tails to a whole host of different useful mons is very scary. I love it. Then I've got Batmann in second. I am genuinely scared of Terra Normal Boom Burst Specs Swellow. That is a really good, consistent mon that you don't really have to think about. You can just slap it on your team every week and just tweak how fast its speed is. Then I have Howell's team. I do like most of Howell's team. Oh, my computer screen just blacked out. There we go. I think Spectrier is going to do a lot of damage, and I think Aggron and Audino are going to let this team down. And I think that's the only reason I put it lower than Batmann. And then SageSpike's team, there are several mons I don't like on this team. I don't think they fit or do anything kind of useful. And I think that it would take more work to fix this team than it would to fix some of the other teams I've seen.
Okay. With that, before we go into ranking actual PRs and going through each team, what we think of them on a 1 to 16, any final comments?
The reiteration of the fact that these are our opinions. I'm not trying to personally attack anyone here. Just because I didn't like the way the team looks doesn't mean it's a bad team. It might just be that it plays in a way that I'm not accustomed to.
And, like we mentioned, lots of new toys. Pretty much every team has a new toy or two, and we don't know how those are going to affect things. We haven't had I especially have not had that much experience with a lot of them. So with that, I think I'll start with this one.
Go ahead.
Number one, I think it's no surprise based off of how we reacted to it, but Middy. Middy has the best team. Just like, it's beautiful. Number two, I put Goose. As much as I hate Iron Treads, and I am willing to overlook it, but that is why I gave you second place and not first place, because you have Iron Treads. But no, Roaring Moon is great, and Mantine is great, and there's a lot of great things on here. Just be careful of having that opening while you're setting up. Third, I put Krumel. Another great team. Cyclozar is great, and Lilligant, Heasley, and just a lot of the individual pieces, they can work really well together. Fourth, I don't know who this guy is, but it says here T4U. I think that's like it sounds like boba or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think as long as you can figure out your toys quickly, you'll be fine. Fifth, I put Cuppa. It's again a case of you got really good new toys, plus your existing toys are extremely good in Aerodactyl, Tangrowth, and Milotic. So yeah, just get rid of Avalugg, please. Sixth, I put LuckyShinx. Espathra is going to be amazing. I want to see amazing things out of it. And again, Shedtail with Orthworm. Seventh, I put Techromancer. Do I want to put any? I mean, yeah, like we mentioned, there's just a lot of great things on that team. Eighth, I put Shane. There's a few things here and there that really just brought the team down for me compared to other teams that I think were around the same level, and I think that one just isn't on the same level as like Techromancer's team or Shinx's team. I think it's slightly below them. After that, I put JT. I personally really like the team. I think it has a lot of really cool mods on it. But I think a lot of things just don't work well together, and that's going to be the big thing to overcome. Then we got BerserkBigeon at number 10. Where's Berserk's team? Yeah, I think Togekiss is good. Like I said, Gorgas is good. Flycon's going to be fun as a Terra Captain. I want to see amazing things. Get rid of Stoutland, though. Then we got Batmann. What do we say about Batmann? Yeah, like, Swallow's going to be your main thing. But there's, like, a few things here and there we probably need fixing up. 12th, I put Tack. 13th, I put Umbravision. It's the stall team. It's going to be low, but I want it to do really well. Like, I really want this team to do well. 14th, I put Gators. Where's Gators team? Yeah, so I did say I liked a lot of the mods on this team. I just Magmar really brings it down, and I think a lot of the mods don't work well together. But we'll see. But there's a lot of like cool things on there. 15th is Howell, which probably sounds really weird because I said I really like this team minus Audino, but I think it just shows like how strong a lot of the teams are this time around. Not necessarily that this team is complete trash. I think it's just there's a lot of really good things and it's hard to place anyone. And someone just had to be at the bottom, which means that at 16th is SageSpike. There's just way too much on this team where I just say no to. Goisapod obviously being one of them, Hatterene being another, and I think this team just has a lot that needs fixing. So that's me. It's now your turn to bash them.
Excellent. All right, I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. I will say our lists are relatively similar
At
in
points.
Yeah, there's a couple of places where we're very much on the same page, even if we're like one or two off, and then there's a few we very disagree on.
Yeah,
Or
to be
strongly
fair,
disagree.
I feel like a lot of mine are, this is a general clump. I don't really feel that this person is maybe number 3, for example. They're generally somewhere in this area. But yeah.
That's fair, yeah. I have kind of a grouping of 4 that I think are just head and shoulders above the rest, and then I think everyone else is relatively close to each other in the same spot. So I guess we've got like a first clump, and then everybody else is fighting for last. But those top 4 in order are Middy, who I've already said I think this might be the best single draft team I've ever seen. I've got Shane here in second place, which is much higher than you have in place.
Yeah.
I think the only weak point is Silvally, and I don't think it's that bad of a weak point. So I'm pretty happy with that team. Next up, I have Goose. I think this is another one of those teams where everything is really quite solid. I think it's a little bit weaker overall than those other two, but I don't think there's any bad Pokemon. And then in fourth, and the tail end of my these teams work. This team works really well. I have Krumel. I like the way his team lays out. I like his defensive backbone. I like his electric terrain setup. I'm really scared for the shed tail setup. Like, this team has a lot of different working parts, little clumps of things that work together, and I think they're all really good. I have myself at 5th. I like my team. I think it's a cool team. It's got lots of new choice, and if they work as well as I think they're going to, I'm going to have a really good season. I've got Cuppa at 6th. I really like the way the sun lays out on this team. I think it's going to do a lot of really cool things. I think Hisui and Avalugg is terrible, and I think it has no place on this team. But the rest of it's all really cool, and I like the way it works. At 7th, I have Techromancer. This is one of those teams where it's got a lot of really cool pieces. It's got, in theory, just about everything I want a team like this to have. And I think the general lack of bulk is going to hurt it more than some of the other teams are, because it's by far the fastest team. It's also relatively frail, outside of Mega Steelix, who I have never seen anyone make it look good. Then I have Batmann at 8th. I like this team. It's I gotta scroll back over to it. There it is. Honestly, I love the round 1 Swallow. Like, you really set the bar high with that, and I don't think there's any Pokemon on this team that don't fit where they are. I just think that it's kind of outshone a little by other ones, not necessarily that it's flawed in and of itself. I have LuckyShinx at 9th. I think this is a cool team. I think it's going to ride really hard on the back of Espathra. And you're putting a lot of pressure on Tapu Fini as your defogger, because if Espathra comes in and gets hit with toxic spikes, I think your main strategy dies right then and there. I have Gators at 10th. I think Magmar might actually be the worst pick in all of these mods. I actually think it might be worse than Stoutland.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
and I like a lot of the things that are going on here. Like, I love Woe Chain. I love Golden Go. I think Terra Staraptor is really cool. That thing's going to hit like a truck. I just don't think this team knows what it's doing yet. I think maybe one or two really good trades could make this team excellent. Um, I would love to see Pinsir disappear and become a better Terra captain. I'd like to see Magmar go away and never get drafted again. Um, but yeah, it's a neat team. Dondozo is going to be super annoying because there's going to be some team that forgets or doesn't prep properly for it, and it's just going to curse and curse and curse and then rest once and then win. At 11, I have Pigeon. This team is too slow. Stoutland is really bad. But those two things are really my only two complaints. I think if you got rid of Stoutland and got a faster Mon to kind of plug up that speed, I think most of my issues disappear. I love that you have all 4 hazards. I love that you have 3 different ways to clear hazards. You've got a pretty small speed gap. You got a lot of priority. It's a neat team. And it has an easily fixable problem. You can fix 2 problems with 1 trade. I have Howell at 12th. I don't love Terra Audino. Terra Audino really dragged this team down further than I think it would have gone otherwise. I love your top end. Spectre or Tornadus, those are really good mons. Sneasel is cheap power and speed. I've seen lots of people do really well with Sneasel. I think Cerulege and Quaquaval are going to do very good things. Fix Audino, man. Like, it didn't need to be the Terra captain. At 13th, I have Tack. This is another one of those teams where it's let down severely by its top speed. It's just not fast enough. There are plenty of things in there that you could trade out in order to get some more speed. I feel like Shaman might be a weak link here. It lost aromatherapy, so it can't do any kind of clericking. And if you want an offensive grass type, you could do better. If you want a defensive grass type, you could do better. I would turn something on this team into something faster. At 14th, I have Umbravision. Similar reasons to you. I don't think I can honestly rate Stall much higher than the bottom end of the board, but I really want to be proven wrong. Like, so bad. At 15th, I have JT. This team has a lot of cool pieces going for it. I think a lot of them are going to be fun to watch in individual battles, but overall a letdown. Like Volcanion. Volcanion's a cool Pokemon. I love that there's a fire water type. I love that it gets defog for like no reason whatsoever. I don't think it's going to perform well enough to justify its existence. Same thing with Granbull. Like, Neatmon, not going to do great. Grafai probably shouldn't have been your Terra captain. I want to be proven wrong. I want to see this Grafai turn into a fire type and sweep a whole team. I just don't think it's going to happen. And then down at the bottom, just like the very top of the list, I agree with you on the very bottom. I think SageSpike, unfortunately, your team has more problems than the other teams, and I think it would be harder to patch these ones up than other teams would. I think Golisopod is going to let you down at every possible junction. I think Hatterene is a good Pokemon, but not on this team. And I just don't think the remaining Pokemon can kind of refill and fix those issues.
Yeah, so I think we pretty much fully agree on Middy, Techro, and uh, SageSpike. I think, though, what's interesting are our 2 biggest differences, which are Shane and not JT. Is it J? Yeah, JT.
Yeah, I really like Shane's team. I really didn't as much like JT's.
I think,
And you were the exact opposite.
yeah, I think
You put them
both
both
of
dead
them.
set in the middle.
Yeah, I think they're both like fairly average. I think I'm a little biased with JT's team. I think there's just so many cool pieces that I think maybe I am biased and put it more in the middle, and that's why. Um, but yeah. And like I said, for me especially, like I feel like there's more clumps than it is, especially near the bottom. I think like 12 through 15 especially were really hard for me. I wasn't sure exactly who to put where.
Yeah, I absolutely feel the same.
But yeah, so don't be too discouraged. I don't think that anyone has a completely garbage team or anything like that. It's just a few things here and there. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't think any of these teams are unwinnable. I don't think any of these teams are incapable of making it to playoffs. I just like some of them more than others.
yeah, and I think we mentioned for most of the teams, like we hope for really cool things from like a certain thing or whatever. So there's that as well. Any final comments for this PR?
No.
Fair enough. With that, that has been UPL Season 14, Week 0, Origin League PR by Kraft and T4U.
Thanks for listening to us ramble for, I think it's been well over an hour at this point.
Hour and a half.
Jeez.
With that, we can't wait to hear your complaints.
Oh man, the second you post this, everyone's going to be mad at me.
Well then,
Because they're all going to skip to the part where you put the picture up of all the rankings and go, how dare you put me there?
with that,
Speed tiers don't matter.
peace.
Bye.